So it looks like you want to get a job, whether it's for us or a digital agency, any agency out there, social media marketing, website building, content creation. We'd like to break it up into the content factory, as we like to say. So you're interested in getting a job, whether it's being an agency owner or a virtual assistant. We'll kick off some facts and start jumping into that.
And you are in the right place because there's so many different jobs. You don't have to apply to a ton of places. If you show that you're qualified, we will hire you. There's a system that has all the training that when you go through the courses, demonstrate you have these skills. You can start an agency, you can be a freelancer, you can be a virtual assistant doing video editing, personal branding, all kinds of different roles, but you have to start and show that you're qualified. So you're in the right place, and you're going to see in this resource center, there's lots of places for you to go based on the job that you would like to go for. So first off, let's talk about what it means to be an agency owner. Ty Lopez created this thing called SMMA that all the young adults are going after, saying that they want to start a social media agency. Well, hold on a minute there, because starting an agency sounds glamorous, but if you don't have clients, you don't have tools, you don't have know-how in 5 or 6 different areas, you're not going to succeed as an agency owner. The best thing is if you start with a mentor who has done it before, then it's a lot easier for you to learn how to do that. Let's say you want to start an agency serving real estate agents. And let's say you're really good at selling and you get a bunch of real estate agents to sign up for your package, provided that you even know what to put in a package. Well, now you have to deliver. What happens if you've sold all these clients and then a month or 2 later you haven't delivered?
It's not going to work out very well for you. They're going to fire you. You're not going to have any clients left over.
So we think of it as you're a restaurant owner and maybe you're a good waiter. You can talk all about the steak and the seafood and all that kind of stuff, but in the kitchen, you need to have the workers. And if you're trying to be a waiter and you're trying to sell and do everything you can to convince a potential client to give you money, then you can't be in the kitchen at the same time. So even though you want to be an agency owner or an account manager or some client-facing like sales kind of role, you still need to have the people in the back, which is why we have the VAs. Now, if you're a VA, you want to be a virtual assistant. You want to be able to work from the Philippines or Pakistan or Kosovo or Central America or Brazil or all these other great kind of places. You have to be able to work with the account managers, the people that are client-facing. So VAs, they're not a lesser role. They're just working as cooks in the kitchen. And the waiters, the account managers, the specialists, the people that are like Jacob that are talking to the client and managing relationships are managing kind of the front of the house. And then you as a cook in the kitchen are working the back of the house. But for all of us to be successful, we have to know our roles and be able to work closely together.
And not only do you have to know your role, but you also have to be able to communicate effectively within your team. If you say you get behind on something or you don't know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, you have to relay that information. Obviously, you should have some sort of idea on what you're doing if you have the initiative in your project. But at the same time, things get confusing and there's a lot going on at one time. So if you have questions, you definitely need to reach out. Ask your account manager, ask whoever's in charge. You definitely have to find out. Don't be stagnant. It's nothing. That's a big thing we see with the virtual assistants or anybody along the process. Sometimes you see they get caught up or they have a lot going on and they won't exactly reach out for help. Or they might say, hey, I have a lot on my plate. Can we delegate this a little bit here and there to somebody else? And that's always an option. So if you feel like you're overworked or overstressed out, that's not something that's really going to be a worry.
And working in a team like Jacob's talking about is so key. A lot of you guys, you might be good at using Canva, or you edit video using Premiere, or you're using some kind of tool to be able to run Amazon ads, or use some SEO, Ahrefs, whatever kind of tool. And I have no doubt that you're good at using that one particular tool. But if you want to work in a team, that's another set of skills. For example, I'm really good at using SEO tools, but my ability to communicate and work in a team, like Jacob's ability to manage a team of a dozen people, is way more important. So if you want to make more money, if you want to have a great job, it's not that you know 1 or 2 of these different skills. If you know how to do a skill, just go to Fiverr or Upwork and just do that same kind of skill over and over again. But we're talking about here is being able to work in a team. And we've seen thousands of people not understand this. The reason why you're watching this is you can enhance the technical skills, tool-driven skills you have, but also learn how do you communicate, how do you organize, How do you work with the other team members? And if you've never done that before, you're going to find that it's kind of strange. It's weird. It's a new thing that you've never done before, but you're in the right place to learn how to do that. You might think it's not relevant because, well, I just want to learn another video editing skill. I just want to acquire another template inside, my After Effects library. That's great, but I'm telling you, the difference between jobs that make just a few dollars an hour or just project-based versus the ones that make several $1,000s a month is your ability to work in a team. Because while you might be good at video editing, someone else is good at writing copy and doing ads and optimization and things like that, and it's almost impossible that you're going to be able to cover and be a pro at every single function inside a team. So think about this, whether you're applying to be a specialist or agency owner like Jacob. Jacob's a great example. Always follow people that practice the thing that you're talking about. Don't listen to what other people have to say. Follow people that do it. Or if you want to be a VA, like look at the other VAs that are in any of the 6 different roles that we have. See not only what they do in that particular role, and you'll see below there's a lot of different job postings and different roles that you can learn and get qualified in, but learn how they work in a team. That's my biggest advice to you, because if you reach out to Jacob directly or reach out to me directly saying, hire me, and what should I study? And, please, sir, give me a job. You're demonstrating that you don't know how to work in a team. There's a video of me and Sunny Ali talking about this. Sunny Ali is like the godfather of e-commerce in Pakistan. So learn how to work in a team so that you can approach Jacob or me at the right point when it actually makes sense, because you understand who is working in what particular role.
Not to mention, even if you do own all of those skills and you're able to follow along every step of the way, imagine how much time it takes to be able to coordinate the project. You're not only going to be able to video editing, social media posts, advertisements. You think you have enough time in the day to do all that stuff and still be able to maintain the relationship between you and your client? It gets hectic, trust me. There's not enough time in the day.
Yeah, and so you end up having to focus on the one thing you're good at. Steph Curry is really good at shooting three-pointers. He's not so good at slam dunks. Shaquille O'Neal could never shoot three-pointers.
Or free throws.
Yeah. So glad you're here. Congratulations. I want to see you qualify. Don't make the common mistake of saying, please hire me, sharing your resume, blasting that resume out to all these other people. If you're applying with us, make sure that you're personalizing. Follow Jacob. Google me. Learn about our company. Learn about other people that have been in the role that you've done. And then I can't wait to see you kick some butt and qualify to be able to join our team. We're hiring thousands and thousands of people.
The fact that people take initiative behind us and willing to look us up and look at what our company does and maybe understand the job description before they even get in contact about the job is a big deal. The fact that they have the initiative to start. Initiative is one of the key things that I would say everybody needs to have, especially if you're working remotely or any sort of situation like this.
Now let's talk about the most common mistakes that you are making as a job applicant. And the reason you're watching this video is because someone sent you to this link saying, you've made one of these mistakes. And I can't tell you how many thousands of people have made these painful mistakes and not gotten a job. Maybe you're really skillful, but pay close attention, because you are making one or more of these mistakes, and that's why you are not getting hired or not getting a response, whether it's from us or someone else that's hiring.
Sure. I would say one of the main mistakes I see, almost like a LinkedIn post or something like that, they'll comment, hey Jacob, I love what you do. Any way you guys have additional jobs? Is there somewhere else I can find additional resources? That's almost like a Google me question. Let me type in how to Google that for you.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, you want to have, like I spoke with earlier, you want to have the initiative to look up the project or look up whatever the company is currently doing and have that initiative to find out how they do it, what they do, and where I could see myself implementing more value for them.
Yeah, so if you ask a question, what does your company do? Disqualified, because it means that you don't know how to use Google or you're too lazy to do it. So if we were to hire you, then you ran into a question or you didn't know how to do something, we know that you would then come to us and we would have to spoon feed you everything instead of you being able to look at the training, being able to Google. We want people, like Jacob said, that take the initiative and can think for themselves. So that's number one. Number two, closely related to that, is personalizing your message. So if you're trying to get a job, and I get it, you got bills to pay, you have kids you have to pay for or whatnot. Don't just go apply to 50 different jobs and blast out the same message, same cover letter, same resume. Hello, sir, need job, kindly review. Can we schedule a Skype soon? No, we always ignore that. Anyone who's hiring quality people will never respond to one of those messages. Instead, personalize it. Research, like what Jacob does. Research what I do. Research the particular client or position and say something specific that shows that you read that note, that you know what Daryl Isaacs does as a personal injury attorney, that you know that he's the Kentucky Hammer. You know that we've been hanging out at his house and making videos. You know something so that when you write that initial note, instead of, hello, sir, it's, hey, Jacob, congratulations on working for the Kentucky Hammer.
Right.
And I love how you guys have been in business for 30 years and have taken care of 60,000 clients. I would love to be part of that team to be able to do PPC because I have experience in Google Ads. But maybe I haven't done it for personal injury attorneys, but I'm very eager to learn. I know you guys have training on how to do Google Ads. I know you have people like Uzair on the team, and I would love to be part of this team and start as a level 1 PPC specialist. If you said something like that to show that you really care, that you're willing to learn, instead of, hire me, look at my resume, and then we have to try to figure out whether you might have experience and whether you're relevant, you're never going to get a response. So that number 2 piece is do that research, which ties to what Jacob said for number 1.
Right.
Personalize that response.
And not only that, but maybe have the ability to come out and say what you don't know. That's one thing I find really intriguing and interesting when people apply is say, hey, I really know a lot about PPC or SEO or Google Ad Spend or Facebook, the business meta, whatever it is exactly. But say you don't have experience in TikTok or something like that. I mean, it's clear to say, hey, I don't have experience in that, but it's definitely something I'm willing to learn. As, of course, you have academy courses for all this stuff. Hey, let me get some access to that stuff.
Yeah.
I want to learn. And that's, if you ask for access to something like that, we'll do our best to make sure that you have the resources needed to succeed.
We have 135 courses in our academy. So can you imagine dying of thirst when you have a gigantic lake like Lake Michigan? If you want to learn TikTok, we have the best book on how to learn TikTok. And we have so many books from other friends and colleagues of ours. There's so much training. There's no better place to be than working with the top authorities. So we do a lot of stuff in medical. Wellness, IV, functional medicine, HRT, other things like, that. And I've interviewed the top CEOs in the industry. And these are all becoming clients of ours.
Right.
So when you know something about Sam Tejada or Dr. Willix or other folks, that's an incredible opportunity because it's not just a good job that you might have. It's that when you're working with the industry leaders, it's so much easier to win because they're already well known. They already have a great product or service. Right. It's so much easier to drive results for someone who's doing well, but you have to know how to work in a team. You have to be an A player. You can't just be pretty good. You can't have broken English. You can't be making lots of mistakes. So make sure that you're qualified. Make sure, like Jacob said, that you show, not just say, that you're coachable. You show that you have an inquisitive mind. You show that you are taking the initiative to do the research for that job that you're applying for.
Not only that, like I mentioned earlier, find ways to stand out. For example, one day, Dennis, this is how I met Dennis. 3 years ago, he came to speak at my college university. He was 15 minutes, 30 minutes late or something like that because he had his flight delayed. I show up in class and I'm ready to learn, and we have a guest speaker. So I listen here, I'm listening to what he's saying, and as he's going through his presentation, it's not only just like slides, but he's telling us with real businesses he's worked with and the numbers behind all of the statistics and everything on how to do it, and pretty much being completely straightforward. No, this is how I make a lot of money, and you have to follow me and pay my course training to find out how I make more money. But I ended up skipping my next class because Dennis was late, and I wanted to hear the rest of his presentation. And we made a couple 1-minute videos after to show that we were personal and that I had a genuine connection to what he does with his company. So that was a great thing, great way for me to stand out. I tried to do another job initially after college for about a year, ended up not liking it, didn't want to work the typical Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, kind of just go through the motions, and I didn't really have much financial or any opportunity for positional growth, which is the reason why, number one, I hit up Dennis and was like, hey, I really like what you do with Blitz Metrics. I remember what we talked about at school that day. Do you have any sort of positions available, or is there some sort of academy? Let me get access to the academy so I can learn all these different things and find a position that you're needing.
And look, he's sitting here in the video studio. If he didn't take that initiative, maybe it would have been someone else. Maybe he'd still be in some sales job or whatnot. And the key is that he actually did something. And it wasn't just that he reached out. He put in the time to do the research. So when we talked, it was clear. He knew about the things that we teach. $1 a day, 1-minute video, personal branding, Facebook analytics, all these things that we teach. And just think about that. If you're hiring somebody, because at some point you'll be hiring people on your team, you're going to appreciate the people that have taken the initiative. So don't make these common mistakes. If you're a young adult and you're applying to go work at some agency, or maybe you want to go work at Nike or something like that, the way you're going to stand out is that you show deep knowledge of that company. You show love of that company. You write a personalized note to whoever that person is, the boss or the manager, showing that you know something about that person in particular, so it feels like a personal note. You follow them on LinkedIn. You've read their last few Facebook posts. You see maybe they have a book out or they were on someone's podcast, and you mention that. Hey, Sam, I saw that you were with Warren Whitlock a couple days ago in Las Vegas, and you guys recorded a podcast about how aging is now a disease. I thought that was really interesting. See, that alone is going to put you ahead of 99% of the other candidates out there. So you're here because you want to get a virtual job. And John Jonas, who's the founder of OnlineJobs.ph, the largest marketplace of VAs in the world, he said that I'm the world's most famous VA.
Wow.
And you're a VA too. Because a VA is someone who, not somebody in the Philippines who does mindless behavior and secretarial tasks, but it's somebody who has the freedom to be able to manage their time, go wherever they want, do what they want, and be the exact opposite of someone who has to show up for their shift in the factory or at the retail place or the customer service counter or wherever their job is physically located. And there are huge differences in being a VA. I guess I'm not an assistant. I guess we're all assistants of everybody in some way. We assist the client.
One way or another.
But we all have virtual jobs. Us, the job you want, which is why you're here, right? You're here because you want to get a job like what we have. Not that it's even a job. It's even better than a job. But that's a whole other thing. But I want you to understand the difference between that and a job where you have to show up and be there in some office between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. What are some of the key differences and what are some of the mistakes people make when they're used to this idea of like a office or a factory you have to show up at versus having the complete freedom like what we have? You see, when you have a physical job in an office, then you're conditioned to the idea that you have to, it's about coverage. Like if you work in a call center and you have to answer the phone, or you work at CVS and people are picking up their orders, or people are there, you know, the store is open between 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock. That's the idea of coverage. And coverage means that the company is paying you based on availability. So the stuff that we do, does it matter whether you're working on an ad campaign at 8 in the morning or 4 in the afternoon?
No.
What matters?
It matters that you get the job done, and it matters that you put in your best work.
That's right. So when you're performance-oriented, the employer doesn't care that I'm wearing a purple shirt. The employer doesn't care that I got into the office at 8:05 instead of 8 o'clock. They care about whether you got the job done. And let me ask you, what do you think pays more money, a performance job or a coverage job?
Personally, I think definitely a performance job. Just in my short experience, a performance job especially.
Yeah. And if you can double or triple the performance for a client, they'll pay you 2 or 3 times more if you have the right client. So having the freedom to work when you want comes with risks, because if you don't have to show up in an office and have the discipline there, then you can work at home. But you might have 2 dogs. You might have friends that want to go hang out. You might want to go outside and throw the Frisbee because it's a sunny day. And I've caught myself making the same mistake too years ago. I'd say, you know what? There's this new movie that just came out. Let's go there, and then I'll work tonight, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and then you get back, and it's late. You're like, I'll just wake up early in the morning and I'll work then.
Yeah.
And you know what happens, right? And friends of yours that don't understand what it means to be a performance worker, a virtual worker, they'll see you on the couch on your laptop and they'll think, hey, Jacob must be just like surfing YouTube or something.
This guy doesn't work at all. He just sits
Yeah.
on his rear end all day and just plays on the computer.
Yeah, because, I mean, it looks like there's email or he's editing video. He's on social media because we run ads on social media.
Right.
But it's difficult because if you are responsible for managing your own time, instead of someone else structuring your time for you and reminding you every single time when something's due, you have to have that initiative, that self-discipline. And that's the number one thing I see young adults mess up on, is they're very excited coming into this because they see the freedom. They see that if you're on top of your game, yeah, you can travel. So we could have made this video from Hawaii if we wanted to.
The beach, the woods, wherever we
We
want.
could have flown out this morning from Las Vegas to Honolulu, worked there for 5 or 6 hours, and flown back tonight.
Right.
We could have done the same thing in LA. Jacob could have said, you know what? I don't like Vegas today. I want to go to the beach. And we could have got on a flight that takes 36 minutes, which, given TSA an hour, and then fly back in the evening. So that's great flexibility. You see that. You see people that have the laptop lifestyle. They're traveling all over the world in these tropical places and touring Europe and all that. But if they're legit, and 99% of them are not, then guess what? When they're at the hotel, they've opened up their laptop and they're working. They're doing conference calls. You see them have fun, but they are working. Our buddy Caleb Box, he's in Dallas.
Right.
And if you look at his Instagram, it's, I guess he calls it flexing, right?
Yeah.
His Ferrari and
Lamborghinis and
fancy hotel suites all over the world. But I guarantee you this guy's working all the time. My buddy Harrison Gevertz, he's 30 years old. We first started working together. He was actually the very first young adult in our program.
wow.
He started when he was 14. Yeah, he started when he was 14. So you're almost late, 23.
Yeah, in a way, I am.
But at 14, we were traveling the world. We were speaking at the search engine conferences in Singapore, in Sydney, in London, in LA, AdTech New York, San Francisco, Affiliate Summit. I mean, we did all that kind of stuff. We were eating at the nicest restaurants. We were flying private. We were doing all that stuff that people hate on. But what you didn't know is that when we would leave the hotel and get in the Uber, what's the first thing we did?
Get on the laptop.
Pop open that laptop when we're working.
Or call a client, either way, whatever you
Yeah.
got to do.
And then when we land, and then we go to the restaurant to eat, and we're waiting, the waiter brings out the menu. What's the first thing we do?
Pop open that laptop. Get
pop
the
it
Gmail going, figure out
Yeah.
what's going on, stay up to date with
We're
everything.
texting back clients and partners. We're doing these different kinds of deals. So you can have the freedom, but the more freedom you have, the more discipline you have to be on top of your
Comes
stuff.
hand in hand for sure.
Yeah. Our buddy Welton Hong, I think he's in Spain today. And he runs Ring Ring Marketing. And I've coached him for the last 7 years. He's grown this thing from maybe $100,000 a month to almost $1 million a month. He's got 300 funeral homes. That's his agency. And these guys pay him $2,500, $3,000 a month.
That's awesome.
And him and his wife Susan are flying around, enjoying the world, eating at the nicest restaurants because they are on top of their communication. And you'll see that. If you've worked with people who are really amazing, like a Tommy Mello, who's the founder of A1 Garage, one of my favorite clients, this guy is always replying, weekends, evenings. But him and Bree are having a great time. So other people might look at him and say, well, Tommy Mello never turns the clock off because he replies to things on the weekends and evenings. I could text him at 10 p.m. tonight and he'll reply to me.
Right.
But I'm not saying you're working 24/7, but your availability has to be higher, not because there's emergencies all the time, but sometimes there are. But sometimes there's an opportunity in the media to be on TV and you have to jump on it right away.
Right.
Or one of your team members just completely botched some project and you have to come in and rescue it.
Right before the client meeting or something, for example.
I tell you, it happens all the time. 6 in the morning, I see there's some kind of thing and there's like 90 minutes to fix the issue. The more senior you are, it's not the more powerful you are. It's the more responsibility you carry so that if someone who's on your team messes up, guess whose responsibility that is?
You are.
So if you start out as an analyst, what does an analyst do? Analytics.
Right.
So you're doing some basic optimizing, you're running some ads. As you become more senior and you're responsible for the success of that client, you're going to start to manage other people. You'll be a project manager, then to a team lead, where these other people you're kind of coordinating like an orchestra. Then you become a manager, which is where Jacob's at now. So you can hire and fire other people. You need to start thinking about what that means to be like an entrepreneur. Because ultimately, this virtual kind of world that we live in means that we are all entrepreneurs. For example, Jacob and I are coworkers. I just happen to have more experience than him, so I'm more of like a mentor or a coach than a boss, right?
Right.
Like, what's the difference?
I would say a boss tells you what to do. A boss gives you a list of tasks and says, hey, here's your A to Z for today. Get it done by 5 p.m. We'll see you later. Versus a mentor is someone that coaches you along the way, teaches you the steps, teaches you the process. Not only that, but answers any questions, any sort of difficulties you have, maybe can provide you with assistance. A mentor is someone that goes out of their way to make sure that you succeed. Versus a boss, they have the idea of you succeeding for them, but they don't necessarily make you succeed. They might give you the resources necessary. For example, they'll give you your task list for the day, but they might not give you everything you need to complete those tasks.
The boss doesn't personally care for your success.
No.
The boss is just some manager, and whether it's Jacob or it's some other worker, they just want to make sure the workers are doing the work. And there's nothing wrong with there being bosses. Typically, if you're an employee, if you're working in a retail place where you have to show up at a certain time and clock in, you work at Walmart or whatever it is, odds are you have a boss because there's some bigger organization that is this faceless thing that doesn't really care for you. Versus a mentor is like, imagine that Jacob is Steph Curry and I'm LeBron James and we're both playing on the All-Star team. So we're both on the same team, and it's so much better. A boss is trying to catch you in the act of messing up, because the boss is there to like try to discipline you, right, and get you in trouble. Oh, the boss is coming quick, like hide, clean up the desks.
Hurry, clean. The boss is coming, or whatever.
But the mentor or coach is trying to catch you in the act of doing something good. So the boss is trying to catch you in the act of doing something bad. But I'm a mentor and a coach, so when I see something good, when I see that there's an opportunity for Jacob to be able to grow, I want to assist. And yes, in any company there's these rules that we have to follow, but in a mentor-driven company, the rules are made to serve the people, as opposed to we're just going to blindly follow the rules because that's what it says in Section 38 of the Employee Handbook on page 259. So think about that. That's a real thing. Do you want a boss or do you want a coach or mentor? And you might just say, well, of course I want the coach or mentor. Okay? How are you going to find that?
How would you find a coach or mentor? I would definitely say reach out to people you know. Find different people that have a lot of knowledge and different connections. You don't want to find somebody that's, I would say, initially new to being a boss, because there's going to be a lot of downfalls. There's going to be different sorts of resources that you're missing. All sorts of different things can go wrong. So I would definitely try to find a mentor or coach. In my experience, it's definitely helped me way more than any boss has.
The other thing, too, is if you have to apply for a job, the odds are it's not going to be a great fit. It might be an okay fit. It might fit your skills. It might fit your pay. It might fit sort of like what you want to do. But this is not for everybody. This is like for 1 or 2% of the people out there. Maybe that's you. If you really show initiative, people will create jobs for you. Right. Or you're going to find out about jobs that are not really publicly being advertised. And those are the best ones. My very first job was working at the airline, and that was a job that was created for me by my mentor, who was the CEO. And so I got lots of special advantages. And a lot of people will think that it's cheating because, well, the big boss takes care of dentists.
Got your foot in the door, but trust me, it has much more to do with that. Even if they did give you an opportunity to succeed, the succession of you is on yourself. It's not on your mentor. He can give you all the resources necessary to succeed, but if I don't do my job, I'm not going to succeed. I'm not going to thrive in the environment. So you have to take what your mentor or your coach gives you, but you also have to have the initiative and the respect for your project or your teammates, whatever it is, to get the job done and do it good.
This is such special time that we're spending together, and I'm glad that you were here, because most people, they spend their entire lives learning some skill. And there's nothing wrong with learning a skill and getting a degree and learning how to use a tool or equipment, but what percent of the time are you spending learning how to get the right job, how to think about employment, how to save your money, how to choose what your strategic direction needs to be, how to get proper career advice? They don't teach that in school. So the fact that you were here, I'm super proud of you for thinking about these things, because this moment that we're spending together, and you should just pause, and if you have 50 other things going on at the same time, just pause those things just for a minute and think about you for a moment. Think about your career. Think about your family. Think about what you want to be able to achieve. Think about where you want to be in a few years from now. Because if you're just looking at paying rent for next month, if you're looking at just the next step, you're going to end up chasing this path, but then you're going to realize 5 years down the road that you actually made a mistake, and now you got to turn back and go all the way back around. What else do people need to think about in their careers?
I think maybe technology is a good thing. You got to think about what kind of resources you need to succeed in your position. For example, a position like this, you're going to need some sort of laptop. You're not going to be able to do digital marketing or remote work if you don't have a computer or internet access. For an example, another thing we like to do, we do a lot of content creation, as you can see. If you don't have good lighting, good microphones, for example, me and Dennis travel with these all the time. It's a nice little clip-on microphone. Clip it right on your shirt, one of the highest quality ones that we know of. So you definitely have to have certain resources to succeed, but you also get the opportunities from your mentor to understand what you need for your position.
Yep. And let's talk for a minute. What kind of equipment does Jacob Hastings have to be able to do his job? You see that he's got a laptop, he's got a phone. Let's look at what some of these things are and think about which of these things you truly need versus which are necessary later when you're at the pro level.
Okay, well, I will start initially on what I think is the biggest thing you need. Obviously, a computer. You're going to have access to the internet to make your computer work and to be able to connect with your team, do the project, whatever you need. Another thing is you're going to have your charger for your laptop. Whether you're traveling for conferences or different things like that, you're going to have some sort of portable charger. So one of my favorite things I like to carry is this portable charger from Anker right here. Super high powerful, super fast charge times, allows you to charge your MacBook or your phone, anything, as well as AirPods. You've got to keep those with you to keep focused in busy situations, environments. At the restaurant, you're trying to get work done. On the plane, there's a screaming baby, you're trying to get work done. Pop some AirPods in. That's one of my biggest things. It helps me focus and direct myself. All my attention goes towards the project versus trying to focus on the different distractions. Not to mention, another big thing, because everybody likes to make money, is the money gun.
Heck yeah.
So obviously you're here because you want to make money, you want to grow your business, or you want to grow as an individual.
You want to make money? So Jacob, how do we make more money?
Not only does it take hard work and dedication, but it takes more people. We need more resources. We need more individuals that are willing to help and learn the processes and learn them the right way. Not only just learn the position, but learn how it adds value for the customer and the business. Because that's one thing that we see a lot that people miss. They can do really good video editing, or they can do really good content creation, but it's not necessarily along the lines of how is that boosting the ROI 6 cases per month, or Liquid Vita, for example. However, so you have to find out exactly what resources that you get, but you also have to use the resources effectively.
Did you hear what Jacob said? If you want to make more money, the number one way to do that is provide more provable value for that client.
Right.
So whatever skill you have, video editing, Facebook ads, website building, if you can show that drives more sales, more leads, directly attributed to your efforts, you're going to be paid more.
Definitely.
And I've seen that that's the difference between a video editor that makes $500 a month versus some that make $15,000 or $20,000 a month. Because they not only are good at video editing, but they have the client strategy. That means they have the soft skills to be able to deal with the clients in these relationships, to understand what the different hooks are, to be able to have a sense of EQ and be able to say, hey, send them a gift and say, hey, you're the GOAT. See, most people who are workers, they don't ever do things like send out gifts.
Personalized gifts, even
I'm telling
notes, anything.
Being able to show that you care, being able to do things like this is how you stand out. Not in a superficial sort of way, but it's a way to show that you care and you go beyond just narrowly the skill that you have.
Not to mention, you could do a much better job at any sort of content creation, anything like that, if you understand what the business is trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
It's not only, I can make the best ads about this microphone, but why is the microphone quality going to increase sales or increase interest in your product or whatever you use exactly. It's just you have to understand, how can I add more benefit to the business without necessarily any takeaways or any extra expense to them, because it's really not, in a way. Your expense is just your knowledge.
Yeah, and understanding the strategy is so key. That's probably, for the people that are brand new, the first mistake people get coming in. And I've seen people who have been doing internet marketing for 20 years, they make that mistake. So now I want to shift topics to advice for the new hire. You're watching this video because you just got hired. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Let's go.
Super happy for you. Man, I would push this money through the camera and send it to you. But there's something more valuable than that money, and that's making sure you don't cock things up on your first day on the job. So Jacob is going to share with you some tips because he's fresh. My first jobs were 20 years ago, so the world has changed. But Jacob's going to share with you tips on what you can do now so that you can be successful in the new job that you have and not make the most common mistakes that we see.
All right, beginning with tip number 1, I would say ask questions, reach out, don't be hesitant to contact anybody. Be a communicator at the highest level with all your team members, whether it's the video assistants to project managers to the project lead. If you don't understand something, you have to ask questions. Otherwise, you're never going to have that initiative to figure out what to do. And that leads me to number 2, which is rely on your teammates to complete their job, but at the same time, you have to be that guy that maybe has to take some responsibility if someone else fails. Say, hey, looks like you didn't get that content produced by Tuesday like we talked about. What's going on? It was supposed to be out. If it's something I need to do, then I can do it, but we have to get it done by today. It's a big thing of taking responsibility, taking the initiative. Like I said earlier, it's one of the key takeaways and the main important things I look for if I'm interested in hiring a new client or a new prospect to work for us. Which leads us to tip number 3. I would say be personable, but at the same time have an understanding of your knowledge and what you can and can't do. Because that also, you don't want to say that I can do Google ads and I can be a TikTok, I'm the master TikToker, or I'm the best person at doing Google advertisements. If you don't understand the knowledge, don't say that you do, because a lot of people claim to be experts at their topic, but then we have simple client meetings and we expect you to reveal your expertise, and it's just not there. And so then it puts pressure on other people, your project lead or your project manager, to scramble last minute and try and figure out a way to make the client happy. That's not something you want to do. Last tip for new hire at new job is give it all you got. Jump in. Be a sponge. You have to jump into the environment that you're in and be willing to learn as much as you can to succeed. Don't hesitate. Don't wait for someone to give you the information. Have the initiative, like I said, to go out and ask questions, to figure out what you need, to, hey, I need access to these materials so I can understand Google Ads better, or I want to do my metric analysis better. Why are we getting more followers per month? What does this mean for X client? Ask questions, be personable, and have that initiative, the drive to understand, maybe you don't know this, I need to know this for my new client, or I need to know this to complete this task, so I have to go back and learn that. And don't skip the steps along the way. You have to learn the steps. Be a sponge of the game. Just absorb as much knowledge as you can. I would say those are my best tips for new hires at a new job.
Well, good. Well, let me add in a couple tips. So by now you've already received your level 1 training. And I know this thing's thick. It's like a couple hundred pages. And it's easy to want to skip past it, or you got busy doing these other things. But when you read through that, whether you're a level 1 VA or level 1 specialist, that already contains the mistakes that we know that you will likely make. We have built this thing over years, over thousands of people that we've hired, and we know what the most common mistakes are. Like Jacob mentioned, on how do you stay on top of communication? How do you make sure you rely upon and coordinate with team members? Maybe there's something they need to do, the video that I need to be able to run an ad against or build a landing page against or whatever it might be. And to learn how to coordinate, learn where to find things, learn how Basecamp or the task management system works, learn when the meetings are, learn how to download Zoom so you can join these meetings. There's lots and lots of little things like that. And if you master those little things, and like Jacob said, you go all in, and people know that you respond quickly instead of, oh, he's the guy it takes like a week for him to reply to messages and he only replies half the time. Yeah. You never want to be known as that. You want to be known as an A player. I've seen the people who fail, they come in with an attitude like, well, I'm only making $3 an hour, so I'm not going to work very hard. Or, I'm making $3 an hour, but until they pay me $10 an hour, I'm not going to really start working hard. Well, you're going to be waiting a long time for that promotion.
Imagine if you could do your best work at $3 an hour. Why would we pay you $3 an hour if it's worth $10 an hour to us? Yeah. Trust me, we are the people that go out of our way to make sure the employee or even our coworker, however you want to say it, or anybody in our academy is taken care of. And never go out of the way. We always like to do what's right for our people.
So just a couple weeks ago, it was Manel and Zed and a couple other people. They went from $380 a month to $1,400 a month, just like that. They didn't even have to ask for it because they could clearly show that they're operating at level 3. So if you can show that you can achieve that particular level of performance, it's not subjective. So let's say that Jacob would like to win a gold medal in the 100 meters, but he told me, Dennis, you got to award me the gold medal first, and then I might be motivated to train hard. Why wouldn't that work?
The biggest thing is, I would say from that, you can't. How can I expect a gold medal if I'm not willing to put in the work for it?
Oh, but once I give you the gold medal, then you'll be motivated, right?
No, that's not how it works. It's like people that say they want their money before they work, or like a client wants, or I want my money up front, and then I'll show you my progress and my skills later. Obviously, that doesn't work out.
No. There was someone I saw we hired last week. I don't know how she got in, but she started as an account manager.
Wow.
And she's never done account management. She was not interviewed by someone who's done account management. But one of our operations people said, well, she said that she could do account management, so we just made her an account manager. And the guy who made her an account manager is a level 2 person giving someone a level 4 promotion.
No.
So the main point is you got to earn it, right? But that's good news, because if you're in a performance organization like ours or the people that we work with, the minute you can show that you're delivering more value, then you'll get paid. You don't even need to argue or negotiate or this other stuff. So Jacob right now is working on Daryl Isaacs. That's one attorney. Now let's say that, right now he's only working on one, which is a good way to do things. You don't want to give him too many things at once.
Right.
But let's say in 3 or 6 months, he's able to handle 3 attorneys. Would it not be unreasonable to think that you're making 3 times as much money?
No, that would be sort of my expectation in a way, because if I earn this amount of salary for one person, I'm duplicating my services among 3 to 4 or 5 clients. I would somewhat at least expect maybe a 3 to 4 to 5 times the boost of money.
Yeah.
That's the job is the same per client. You're making the client more money. It's making us more money. Why wouldn't we pay you more money? It just makes sense.
We see video editors that are coming in at, say, $2 an hour, which is $16 a day, working a regular day, and they might get 1 video out every week, 2 videos out every week, and they're not even good quality. Well, we have other video editors, and they're cranking out 20 or 30 per day. I can crank out a video in about 10 minutes, and you can see examples I've recorded showing how to use Descript and these other tools. Well, what do you think would it? How much more do you think, if I'm a video editor, or processing video, we don't call it video editing.
Sure.
But how much more do you think I should be paid if I can make 50 videos per week instead of 2.
50 times a person that can not necessarily.
Way more, right?
Way more, yes.
Assuming that the quality is good. Well, the funny thing is that the people who are faster typically have higher quality. And the people that are slow typically are low quality. You're never going to see people who are slow and high quality. It's either high quality fast, slow and poor quality, or what is it?
Middle range, like a mediocre.
Slow and fast. There's high quality and low quality. So whatever the 4 are. But the one that doesn't exist of those 4 is slow and high quality. So get faster. You're getting faster not because you're rushing or you're hurrying. The last thing you want is an emergency room surgeon who's hurrying. They're going to make mistakes. But you'll see, like me and Jacob, we're super fast because we don't mess up. Because we know what we're doing. We don't mess around with all these other sorts of things. And you'll see people who are quick and effective. They never hurry.
Not only that, Dennis, but we're experts at the craft. If we are doing it, we're someone that's taken the knowledge and the time that takes to learn to follow the steps and understand how to do it, the whole process the right way.
Yeah.
Not just someone that, oh, here's step 1, 3, 5, 7. All right, I bet I can bang this video out. Let's get it. Come on.
Yeah.
That's not going to be good content.
So speed is so important, speed of response, but that doesn't mean to be sloppy or to be reckless. You don't want to be a Leroy Jenkins. But I'm so glad this is your new job. You got a lot of stuff ahead of you. You want to coordinate mainly with that team lead. Make sure you don't skip things in that training, that onboarding that you have where you're getting access to all these different systems and the level 1 training. It's so easy. You want to skip that. Promise you skip that stuff, it's going to come back at you on all the stuff you didn't know. It's going to take you a lot longer, and it's going to cause you a lot more pain.
And plus, you're going to ask these questions to your project manager or the project lead, and they're going to say, hey, I've explained this to you 4 times. What's going on? Why are you not understanding it? Like, what part do you not understand that I have to keep continuously explaining the same thing? That it might be difficult to learn, but I don't have any problem answering questions if it's a difficult task learning or not understanding. But at the same time, you have to respect the knowledge and the mentorship as somebody that's giving you the resources to learn, to be able to take that initiative and go learn on yourself and then come back and ask questions with things you don't understand.
You don't want to be someone who reveals that you haven't studied the training and you're just too lazy, and then you come to me and you ask, so how do I track my time? Or how do I do my invoicing? Or, how do I reset my password in Basecamp? If you ask me or ask anyone else how to do that, you might think, well, I don't have to go to any of the training. I'm just going to ask Jacob. Jacob's my VA. He'll just do everything for me. All you're doing is revealing that you have not studied any of the training, and everyone can tell that you haven't looked at it. You're not going to last very long if you do that. So don't make those mistakes. We want A-quality people only. If you are a weak link, everyone else on the team, we love each other. We want to see everybody win. But if you are a weak link and you're holding people back, then it's just not fair to everyone else on the team.
And we already know you have somewhat of that initiative because they're here right now and you've already been hired. Just take your initiative further and have that willingness to research and develop it.
All right. Well, we're so glad that you're here. We're not going to take up any more of your time. Jacob Hastings, Dennis Yu, and I want to see you succeed.